All right, good day. My name is Berkenda. I am the Vice President of Member Engagement and Operations here at OmniAir Consortium. Before we get started, I have just one housekeeping reminder, and that's questions are always encouraged. We'll have time for official Q&A near the end of the presentation. However, you may submit them at any time. I believe you guys have access to the Q&A box, so go ahead and type those in as they come to mind. One other reminder is that we have our upcoming Plug Fest in Florida at beautiful Sun Tracks. If you've not been there, it's a gorgeous location. We'll be in the Florida sunshine, hopefully sunshine, not rain. I'll type that link in the chat once we get going and underway, and some other links for you guys to take a peek at. And with that, before we begin this training, I would love to introduce our Senior Vice President of Technology Programs, Randy Roebuck. Randy, if you could join me on screen. And also a guest presenter, friend of ours, Brian Romansky, General Manager, Connected Vehicle Solutions at Integrity Security Services. And with that, I'll turn it all over to you.
Hello, this is Randy Roebuck, and we're very happy to host this webinar. It's been a long time coming. The SCMS providers have spent more or less the last 2 years getting this standard implemented into their system so they can provide this process, and we hope that all deployments moving forward will use this standardized process to acquire certificates, top off certificates, and use all the features that really makes it a well-rounded security system in providing certificates for the connected vehicle area. And Brian, would you like to introduce the standard and
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. And let me start off by saying on behalf of the Cybersecurity Working Group, welcome. This is the time normally when we'd have a working group meeting, but we decided to give it up for this event. I'm going to share a little bit of material looking at I see some familiar names in the attendee list. So I think for many of you, this will be review, but just a little bit of a background on what we mean by SCMS interoperability and what we'll be testing as part of this upcoming virtual Plug Fest. So I'm going to talk just very briefly about the Cybersecurity Working Group, what we've been doing lately, brief review of the certificate standards that we're talking about, why it's important to test SCMS interoperability, some tips on what we'll be looking at the virtual Plug Fest, and then the main body of time will be we're going to ask each of the SCMS vendors who are on the call to give a brief update on what testing they have available, what features they support, and then we'll have just a follow-up with some information on if you're a device vendor, how do you get engaged if you want to participate in this test, and any questions and answers. So that's the plan.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
We see a black screen, but now it just turned on.
There we go.
Okay. Curious. All right. So do we have a cybersecurity working group slide up now? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, cool. So just briefly, if you're not familiar with the OmniAir Cybersecurity Working Group, we develop test cases for cybersecurity features of V2X technology, heavy emphasis on IEEE 1609.2 and .2.1, and I'll have a little more detail on those in just a second. We do talk about application security features and interoperability, SCMS, misbehavior is something that we're starting some new work on, looking at use cases and test scenarios for misbehavior detection and reporting, as well as CRL processing, and then any system-wide parameters that need to be shared that support security and secure infrastructure. If you have any interest if you're a member of OmniAir and you want to participate in any of these, you can connect through your OmniAir contact and get involved with the Cybersecurity Working Group. We'd welcome the help. Again, for the people in this audience, this might be obvious or something you already well know, but there's two certificate related standards that we'll be talking about with respect to this Plug Fest. 1609.2 from the IEEE is the actual definition of the security certificates that we use in the V2X environment. related to the normal X.509 certs that you use in your browser and banking and everyday transactions. These are a little bit smaller, more efficient, designed specifically for embedded environment, for an automotive environment, and a safety critical environment. And then .2.1 extends those certificate definition to provide device management. So it defines the interface between an end entity device and the certificate issuance or certificate authority that issues those certificates. And as part of this virtual plug fest, we'll be focused on that .2.1 API and interface to be able to test that devices actually interoperate with multiple vendors correctly.
Brian, you may want to point out on those standards
Yep.
that our test specification is 763 for the 1609.2 security and the 764B, which is the 1609.2 processing. And also on our website, there's 11 or 12 guidance notes on 1609.2.1 that came from the standards first since they have been released, and people have put either help guides in there or something that will need to be addressed in the future.
Yeah, it's a great point that for both of these standards, the guidance notes, which provide some clarity, provide some details beyond what's in the standard, have been published through OmniAir. Eventually, those guidance notes, the details that are in them will work their way into future publications of the standards. But while that's a work in progress, OmniAir is the place to get those. Those are publicly available. Just to point out, so as you likely know, SCMS is fairly complex. For the purposes of this testing, we're going to focus on the interface between the end entity devices, or your OBUs, RSUs, and ASDs, and multiple SCMS providers. So we've got multiple vendors who provide all this complex infrastructure in the middle. We're going to be focused on testing that interface from your end entity device into that infrastructure. We're also going to be looking at making sure that devices can accept and map certificates across multiple root CAs. And I'll give an example of that in just a second. As Randy pointed out, the test specification for .2.1 is what we refer to as the 764B test specification. If you're familiar with that, you'll know it's got a pretty extensive set of test cases. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 54. There's over 50 distinct test cases in there. They cover all the aspects of IEEE 1609.2.1. There's a lot of optional features. There's many variations on different use cases where you can implement things in slightly different ways. So the 764B test specification covers all of those variations fairly extensively. But there's only 10 required test cases. So there's 10 that really are fundamental to a device lifecycle and interoperability. And so for the virtual plug fest, we're going to really focus on the results of those 10 test cases. We're looking for device vendors to do at least those required tests, report results on those, whether you succeed or fail. If you can execute additional tests, that's fine. Some of the vendors support different collections of features, and as we have the vendors speak, they can comment on any specific features that they support or not. And you can certainly connect with the SCMS vendors if you engage in testing. If you get on the schedule, then you can connect with the SCMS vendors and learn more about what they support and which tests are supported. Just a high-level view of the device lifecycle. So this looks at sort of the end-to-end life from, I just manufactured a device. It has no connection to anything. It's not yet initialized, all the way through to end of life. And I'm taking a device out of service and want to make sure that I don't have any valid certificates in it if it's going to be recycled or disposed of. For this test or the virtual test event, we're going to be focused on sort of the normal life cycle events in the device. So going from newly manufactured device, getting it initialized, getting it enrolled, and then downloading an initial batch of authorization certs. So we're not going to go to either of the extremes, but we're going to make sure that a device can go through that sort of sequence of steps and get it to the point where it's ready to use. In terms of interoperability, just a reminder, so it's really important that there's some diversity in the marketplace. So we've got multiple SCMS providers. The architecture was designed to support that. SCMS Manager is the policy authority that defines the rules that enables SCMS providers. SCMS Manager publishes a certificate trust list, or CTL. CTL lists the root certificate of each of the SCMS providers, and that's how we achieve interoperability. So as an end entity device, an OBU, an RSU, or an aftermarket device, if it's provided with the up-to-date CTL that lists all of the active SCMS providers, then you can easily map any certificate that you observe. You'll know which certificate chain it should belong to. And so you can authenticate all the way through the chain up to the root to know that a device, a foreign device was issued from another SCMS provider. You can check to see if it was valid or not. Architecturally, as you can see here, so you've got multiple SCMS providers. I show a few different subscribers. So a typical subscriber could be a DOT or an OEM. They might subscribe to an SCMS provider to provision their devices. So each subscriber would have a collection of devices of various types, and they would enroll them with their registered SCMS provider. Certainly, some subscribers can work with multiple providers. There's no requirement that you have one only. Typically, you see a mapping of subscriber to an SCMS provider. Again, the key to interoperability here is the common CTL. A little bit of detail of what's in there. So again, many of you on this call probably already know, but there's certificate trust list. It's signed by a group of 5 electors. So the idea is that we can have changes to the list of roots in the CTL over time. The electors should be longer lived and be a longer term trust relationship. They are stable. You can change electors over time. So periodically a new CTL will be published. A quorum of electors, so 3 of the 5 electors can agree to bring on a new elector or to remove one of the electors if one needs to be revoked. So we have sort of life cycle management over time of both the trust infrastructure, the group of electors, and of the SCMS providers built into this architecture. You can download both the test and production CTLs from SCMS Manager if you go to the publications page listed at the bottom. If you scroll to the very bottom of the page, you'll see where there's a list of the CTL files that are available for download, and the test electors are available there as well. So if you have code that's able to decode a COER encoded multi-signed SPDU, you should be able to decode that file and also validate all the signatures on there.
Brian, you may want to also mention that this leads to misbehavior detection capability and a lot of other system features such as registration authority and how it fits in with the SCMS policy manager. So you're really providing a whole system here in order to move deployment into really a trusted world. And at this upcoming Plug Fest in Florida, we will be testing actually one portion of this we haven't done before, which is identity certs, along with the standard application certs that the RSU uses, and also the pseudonym certs that the OBU serves. So this will be a first trial for the identity certs at a Plug Fest.
That's a great point. Yeah, I guess it's fair to say for interoperability, it covers a lot more than just getting to common set of routes, but for what we're testing within this virtual plug fest, we're making sure that devices are able to use the .2.1 APIs to talk to multiple vendors and receive and process a composite CTL that has a structure. So in terms of SCMS vendors, there are several vendors who are all members of OmniAir and have participated in various events. I believe today we have representation from Autocrypt, ISS, Microsec, Saesol Tech, Chungwon Telecom, and Eviden. I don't think they're here, but they are listed on the CTL, so I noted them here. So if you download the CTL and look at it, you'll see them included in there. But I'm not sure that they're engaged in this virtual plug fest. What I'd like to do next is invite each of the SCMS vendors to comment. If you have slides to share, you can, or you can speak to your capabilities and what you'll be able to do during the virtual plug fest.
Brian, one last item. We are finalizing the certificate instructions list. We do need everybody's inputs back today, so it can be finalized and can be used for this virtual PlugFest testing in mid-March. We did get some comments from one SCMS provider here this morning, so we really need everybody else to respond so we can freeze that document.
Yeah, it's a great point. So those certificate instructions do provide some connectivity details and some reference information that is useful for device vendors who are looking to download test certificates for use at the Plug Fest. So yeah, any feedback we have on that would be very helpful. So at this time, I would invite the vendors to participate. I don't know, Kenda, if you want to coordinate people coming in. I think we have Autocrypt up first.
Sounds good.
Hosting this virtual event and webinar as well. And I'm proud myself to be here. And let me share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes, all good.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. I just want prepared one slide that, but this slide is in explain that how much we are doing now and how much we are supporting in the 2.1 specification. And last year we have a chance to work with the USDO requirement interoperability testing. So we are doing lots of works with other partners, but especially for the consignia involved with our Autocrypt SCMS RSU, and we are also interoperability testing with the ISS RSU as well. So in the purpose of this interoperability testing is that whether the participants' team messages can be shareable and viewable and received by well, and can be confirmed that whether this works correctly. So during this event, we confirmed that our basic tests, and not only for the test, that the edge testing is also can be performed and passed and verified our full functionality supporting our SCMS. So we are also looking for the lots of opportunity to work with you in the next events in May. And so we are very excited about this opportunity. And so I think that that's all we can show that our feasibility. So just to give me a chance that that's all, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then moving on, I'm gonna give it just a quick comment on ISS. 1 second here. Switching screens. Here we go. Okay, so just in terms of ISS, most important information is if you want to get any technical details with ISS, support at isscms.com would be the contact info. Again, a lot of device vendors know where to find that. A couple of notes with respect to the .2.1 testing. So you can see on the screen there the URL for both our ECA and our RA are identical. So it's one API endpoint for all of the API functions. We support all of the standard REST API calls for the .2.1 interface. And we can provide the technical details of how to call the API once you're registered to participate in the test event. If you register to test with our 2.1 interface, we'll provide the details to you that you need. This is basically a repeat of what you had seen before, sort of the sequence of stages of the device. Just to point out, to register a new device, there's a key pair that you share with us. That can be done through email or through our portal. So if you're a user that has access to our portal, you can register new devices under our pre-production portal and then execute the sequence of tests that way. If it's easier to go through email, we can support that as well. Once enrolled, once registered, devices can be enrolled and you can initiate and download application certificates through the standard interface. If you do send an enrollment request through email, again, we can send this to you in an email, so you don't need to save this, but we're just asking that you pack together the canonical public key, your device serial number, and the type of certificate that you're requesting. And if you have multiple devices, you can put that into a CSV file. It makes it convenient for us to process, to just add those to the system. In terms of test cases, so all of the infrastructure files are available from the ISS interface. So the CRL certificate chain file, the certificate trust list are all available. You can get the MA and RA certificate through the interface. So all of those are available and fairly convenient for testing. There's no authentication on those, so you can just ping the interface and download those infrastructure files from the URLs that were listed on the previous slide. Support pseudonym identity and application certs or RSU device certs. There is a bootstrap file that we can provide. This is what's included in the bootstrap file. So it's pretty self-explanatory because the README file that's contained in the bootstrap tells you what's in there. So just if you're wondering where to get these parameters from, that's, again, something you can download through the interface and we can make available to you. So it just gives you a bit of a overview of what we provide. It's pretty standard API for 16.9.2.1. And I think we will be scheduling some time if there's any technical issues in using the interface. We can schedule some time for a support call during the week of the virtual Plug Fest, if that's helpful. With that, we can move on to the next vendor.
Perfect. All right, let's have Microsec come on board next.
Yeah, sorry. Now I hope you hear me and you see the screen, right?
Yes, all good.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to give a quick overview of Microsec. Maybe we are not that much known. So we are over 40 years old company. We are active in North America, Europe, and also in the Middle East. We started the V2X PKI program in 2018, and the first commercial deployments in 2021. We are practically now operating one of the largest commercial deployment in the world with the German motorways. We are interoperating over 1.5 million cars, Volkswagen cars there. We are operating ECTL level 0 and level 1 service, first commercial operator, and now it's just a fresh news because today we have been added to the level 2 service as well. So we are the first commercial operator on level 2 as well. We are a member of all the relevant international organizations in this field, so ETSI, IEEE, 5GA, OmniAir, Car-to-Car, SCMS Manager. We are an observer member there, and we have a European Commission delegated expert, and we also a member of the CP authority member also, so and CA as well. We were very active in creating the SCMS certificate policy with the stakeholder organization in the US, and we are audited every year by third parties for ISO 9001, 37001, and also now we are audited for Web Trust as well. We have a sandbox environment available for testing both for SCMS and CCMS for testing and integration. So regarding this interop test, what we are providing, so what are our features? So we are supporting IEEE 16922.1 and CAMP under a single hierarchy. We have an AGSM support. We are working with Entrust AGSMs, and we are using the original AGSM firmware factory, original ASM firmware that is certified for FIPS 140/2 level 3. In the test, we are supporting, of course, enrollment and authorizations. So enrollment certificates and authorization certificates. We also support successor enrollments. We support all the 3 different types of battle file keys, so original, unified, and compact unified. We support this for both implicit and explicit certificates. We support certificate trust list, certificate change files, composite certificate revocation list, and individual certificate revocation lists. And we provide an easy-to-use web interface both for the SCMS and the CCMS testing. Of course, this will be the SCMS. We are interoperable with many vendors already, and we are happy to test the interoperability with more vendors, also with the sandbox environment and also during these tests. We have flexible deployment options and very competitive business model. So we have these qualified partners already. So Applied Information, Coda, Consignia, Considerate, Ethifos, Capsh, Movian, Svarco, and Unex. We already tested interoperability, and we will participate all the major events, V2X events in this year. So we will participate on the OmniAir Virtual Plugfest in March, and the face-to-face in May in Florida, then the US DOT Interoperability after the next week. And we will be there in the ITS World Congress in Atlanta in August, and also the European Congress in May in Spain. So if you have any questions, you may feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. We can go ahead and have Saesol Tech join us, please.
All right. Let me just share the screen. Can everybody hear me and see me?
Yes, all good.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, this is Meadow from Saesol Tech. Today I'm going to talk about Saesol Tech's SCMS featured for IEEE 1609.2.1, and also I will talk about the conformance tool that is provided by Saesol Tech. All right. So briefly to introduce my company, Udi is a chair of the sub-working group 1609.2.1. So he is on the way to standardize this 16.9.2.1 standard, and we have other products like the test system, SCMS, and also V2X security solutions. So today I will show you two solutions that are SCMS and test system. So as you can see in this slide, certificates issued by an SCMS using another CDL will not be interoperable with those issued by an SCMS following the test CTL structure. So through this test, we aim to ensure that the certificates issued by different SCMS can be trusted when based on the same test CTL. So moreover, this will allow us to validate the interoperability of production level certificates. So for the virtual test, we recommend the device providers prepare 2 devices, each receiving certificates from different root CAs. So if you're interested in participating, feel free to reach out to me later. And this is a great opportunity to evaluate your device's SCMS compatibility before the Sontrex event. All right. So this shows how the operating organization ID field is used. First of all, 3 different SCMS providers are involved, each playing different roles. The emergency vehicles OBU sends an SRM to the RSU. And RSU can verify the operating organization ID that is clarified in the certificate with the SRM. Saesol Tech plans to include operating organization ID when issuing certificates for emergency vehicles as well. All right, this is a flow chart outlining the certificate issuance process for Saesol Tech. So this is a UI of the website. All right, so far I introduced how to download and how to issue the certificate with Saesol Tech, and now I will show you the conformance tool by us. So the greatest feature that we have with 1609.2.1 test system is that it's world first. So if anyone who is interested in this, we can show you how it works as well, and then we can also give you a test too. So please reach out to us too, and then we're on the way to get the OQTE, and it will be approved soon, I believe. So this is a conformance tool. Our test, this is the latest status of our test specification. So currently both the test specification and the TCI are being revised. Although the revised CTI has not been confirmed yet, even if the SCT does not support it, manual testing will still be available, just to keep in mind that. And this is the survey tool. So with using the survey, the key takeaway of this is that we do not need to test all combinations. You can test only those supported by your device. So this is a very good feature. And this is another test flow for verifying device compliance with IEEE 16.1.2.1 standards. So number 1 is like the tester starts the process, and SCMS is set up for testing. The test station sends the set initialize command to the SUT. And number 4 here, prepare test for example, clean security credentials, something like that. And then number 5 is here, certificates are provisioned and updates to CCF, CTL, and CRR are applied. And if you go to here, number 6, it will send SPDU, like BSN or team message signed by the provisioned cert. And finally, verified message signature right here. All right. So this is this will be the supplement for the test specification. So this section will document the interface sequence between the CMS, the CTI agent, and the test station. So additionally, this information will be also included as an appendix in the specification soon. And so if you are interested in, you can find that in their test specification too. So for the contact information for our SCMS interoperability test, for the issuance, please contact cert_REQ@Saesol.tech. And these are the links for our ECA and RA. And if you need some technical support, if you have any question regarding our SCMS or test system, please reach out to Woody and Jay. If you want anything related to business collaboration, please talk to me. I'm Meadow Cho. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Meadow. The test tool is very important in the process here, and we would like to see as many devices and SCMS providers part of this virtual test week in mid-March. And I'd also like to leverage off of that to verify the Saesol test tool. So if you go test, I hope everybody will test with their test tool and also with other providers. If you are testing with other providers, provide the detail or logs down. So I'll have evidence where we've tested across multiple devices, multiple providers, and everybody is getting the same result. So we can basically go in and validate the test tool. So very appreciative of that.
Thank you.
We do have device manufacturers. We've asked their forms to be filled in. I've gotten like 4 or 5 devices forms now, what their capabilities are. Hopefully they'll all be participating in this virtual testing for 609.2.1, and also will be a Plug Fest, and also part of the interoperability testing and the ITS World Congress verification scenario too. So we do look forward to everybody. I do have slides if people want to see where the 1609.2.1 guidance notes are, and I imagine everybody should know where the PlugFest information is. I can show that slide if needed. And I'll hand it back to Brian and Burkinda to close the session.
Thanks, Randy. I can just follow up with some details for device vendors. So if you do want to participate, so some logistics, just so you understand what's proposed here. So for the week of March 17th, we're going to be scheduling internet-based or remote testing. That's why we call it a virtual plug fest. So if you're a device vendor, if you have a software stack and you'd like to test the interface to one or more SCMS vendors, you can register and let it be known that you want to run this testing. I would suggest, Burkinda, who should they contact to follow up on that? Do you have a contact point they should go through?
They can follow Brian or myself.
Okay, so Ryan or Burkinda can get you scheduled for testing. And so during this week, you identify which vendors you want to test with. Most vendors will have their system up, full time during the week, so you can probably test anytime. But if you have any issues or you want any deeper technical support, there'll be some time blocks planned during the week when you can meet with individual vendors if you have questions or details that you want to cover. You'll be provided with any technical details that are needed, so URLs and RA certificates. If any details that you can't just grab offline, you'll be provided to you. And then you can go ahead and test against their interfaces. We ask the device vendors to self-report results, so which tests succeeded, which ones failed. And then again, if you have any technical issues, we can block some time so that you can meet with individual vendors. So I think that's sort of the high-level logistics for the Plug Fest. With that, I would open up any questions that any device vendors have or any other questions about the process or the intent.
Thanks, Brian. I did launch a poll, so if you guys have a second to answer those, just couple questions there. I do see that there's a Q&A question. I don't know if this was answered, Brian, during your presentation or during the meeting. It says, who comprises the SCMS manager? Are there electors now selected? If so, who are they?
So SCMS Manager is an industry organization, and it has a group of members. You can request to join through the website, and there's different levels of membership, different levels of participation. The electors are operated by SCMS Manager, so under contract to SCMS Manager. So all 5 electors now are up and running, both test and production electors. And you can download the elector certificates directly from the SCMS Manager website.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If you have any questions, go ahead and type them now in the Q&A, please. I did put a couple links in the chat, actually. So in the chat, I put in there registration for Florida Plug Fest. We cannot wait to see everybody. That's going to be in May. So again, we're expecting beautiful weather. It was a great time the last time we were at SunTrack, just a beautiful location. That link is in the chat. Also, there is the virtual test interest form. So that I did put in the chat as well. So if you want to go ahead and put your information in there, we can go ahead and get you signed up and get that scheduling started for you. I see one more question. The question is from Dan. Thanks, Dan, for this question. Will the presentations be available on the OmniAir share site? Yes, those will be loaded into the cybersecurity site for you guys. You're welcome. Any other questions? If not, it looks like we'll be wrapping up just a smidge early, which is always great.
I actually have one request. So
Yes,
it looks like, yeah, so Meadow from Saesol Tech, looks like Saesol Tech and Microsec we're not updated with our newest CA. So if you can check that and then confirm before the test, that would be greatly appreciated.
So you mean the latest test route on the CTL?
Correct.
Yeah, so the plan is to have that updated by this Friday, the end of this week. So we will contact you to make sure we have the correct route, and we'll get that signed and published by end of this week. So it'll be done well ahead of the test event.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. So with that, are you good with wrapping, Brian and Randy?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you next month at the Cybersecurity Working Group. Go ahead and make sure you copied those links over. If you missed anything, go ahead and send me a quick email and I'll get back to you. Everybody have a great day or a great night. Thanks so much for joining us.